Hey everybody, welcome to the year ahead forecast for the year of 2025. I am Justin Taylor. I am an Akashic consultant and writer and performer and speaker, and I am very looking forward to sharing this forecast with you. I've already opened the records and received the messages for 2025. It is quite a doozy. I recommend you stick around for the full forecast. It's a bit longer than the usual. So grab a tea, put in your earbuds, take a walk, take this in. It's pretty major. And if you do not know what the records are, what is an Akashic consultant, yada, yada, please stick around. I will explain when we get into the full forecast. So see you there. All right, hey everybody, welcome to the full forecast for 2025. Here it comes. So I do have the records open, as I mentioned, and I just want to explain very briefly what the records are for anybody who is completely new to this or just wants a refresher. So what I do is I use a prayer, a sacred prayer, to access information from beyond my mind, information that is inherent in consciousness, information, if you will, that is imprinted in our collective one presence, one collective consciousness. It is the nature of consciousness to leave an imprint in itself of everything that it does or could do. And I call this, I call this the Akashic record. So, or this is how I define the Akashic record. And I help people, individuals, enter this record for themselves, for getting guidance and support and points of view that are wiser. And in the interest of helping out my community, I open up the records of our collective for the year ahead or the month ahead, which is what I'm doing now. So I had the records for 2025 open to, again, receive any kind of guidance or perspective for us that might be helpful as we navigate what's going to be happening in 2025. And I'm going to be speaking in very broad terms. 2025 is a milestone year. It is a year of great change. And what the record keepers have been showing me and repeating to me about this for days and weeks up until I really opened up these records is it is a year of shift from adolescence to adulthood. Of course, not all of that in a year, but it's the beginning. They called it our bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. They gave me the image of a long maturing wine that is opening. A wine that has been waiting for a very, very long time to be served. Perhaps similar to rituals, rites that usher a child out of a teenagehood, adolescence, juvenile span period of life into an adult period of life. And even the color of wine is shot through 2025. There's like this earthy, bold energy that is sweeping through. It is ancient, like they mentioned this long mulling wine. It is an ancient energy, in pretty strong contrast to 2024. 2024, the nickname was 24 karat gold, and it was shot through with like kind of a warrior prince energy, full of vibrancy and bold action and change that we activate, that we do, choices that we make and take action on that come from, the soul. And in this 2025 year, there's an energy that's activating something deeper, something wise, and it is catalyzing, as they said, this transition from a more juvenile collective consciousness, collective mindset, to one that is more sober and mature. There are, of course, many reactions to growing up, and some react with a lot of resistance, and some embrace the call. And so in 2025, you will see both reactions. You will see large groups of people react to the call to mature with resistance, anger, anxiety, reactive behavior. This is on a collective scale. And you will see some step up to activate that more mature, wiser way of being. And they want to say a little bit more about what that will look like for us on an individual level. So again, just to repeat myself, there's this master energy they're calling, which they represent with a kind of crimson color, like a wine that is red, a red wine color that is being swept across the earth. Again, this long maturing wine that opens to celebrate or really activate our collective transition out of adolescence to adulthood. And what does that look like on an individual level? So they want to say some things about human development and soul and the embodiment of soul. So we're going to take a little time now to get this download, which is, they're saying, useful for the next 5 years. So the human mind, it naturally creates a me. It creates what we call ego, a psychological self. And this psychological self is essentially made of beliefs. And these beliefs, get represented by parts in certain psychological models, like manager parts and self-like parts and inner children and so on. The image they're giving me for this psychological self is like a bird's nest, an inner bird's nest that is made up of these beliefs. It's like a home. It's an inner home that the psychological me lives in. And for most of human history, our minds have used, basically, like a bird, whatever is in the environment to build the nest, the inner nest. And they've given me this image of a bird's nest in a brush by a highway. And that bird, like they were saying, will use anything and everything at its disposal in its immediate environment to build the nest. So there will be twigs and leaves and roots, and there will be cigarette butts and plastic wrappers. So it's a mix of healthy and unhealthy things in the nest. The bird doesn't care. It just needs to build that home. Our minds are like this. We build an inner home, an inner self-environment, self-containing environment out of what was immediately available in our upbringing. And again, psychologically speaking, that home is made of beliefs. So that those can be beliefs that are an expression of our true self, an expression of our soul, like I am powerful or I am fun. Um, the world is magic. There can also be beliefs that are not harmonious or not an expression of our soul that get brought in to build that sense of me, that sense of psychological continuity, and to interface with the world and feel safe. And they can be forged in trauma. They can be handed down by the family lineage, and it doesn't matter. The mind needs to make that nest, so it can take in the good and the not so good. And essentially, most of us live in that nest that we have made. We live in that nest that we have made. And in 2025, there is this call to reassess this nest and to even build a new one internally down in the soul center, which is the solar plexus. You can see I'm wearing a necklace that kind of hangs. Well, this is my heart center, but the solar plexus down here, a little bit lower, show you here. So again, this sweeping master energy is calling us again to shift our sense of self from the beliefs built by the mind down to the soul home, which is again the solar plexus. The signature feeling of living in the mind nest, the belief nest, is one of blaming and victimization. A feeling that I'm a victim of my circumstances, blaming my circumstances or blaming others or even myself for the circumstances that I don't like, that I think make me unhappy. There's a sort of disempowered feeling or signature to that kind of nest, that kind of inner home. And that's not to judge anyone who feels this way. It is the natural, innocent thing the mind does when it makes that psychological self. It's me versus the world, and that kind of duality always leads to I'm not enough, and the world is to blame, or I am to blame, or someone's to blame. And in 2025, there's just not going to be a lot of room for this. There's going to be this increasing pressure, is what I'm getting here, that makes it more and more uncomfortable to live in that home, to live in that world of beliefs, of the victim mentality, essentially. And a deep call to really assess, like, what is my inner world, my inner nest made of? What are the beliefs that I am maybe not so consciously, subconsciously, or even unconsciously using to line my nest internally? And then again, this deep call to bring that sense of self out of it, out of that nest of beliefs, down into the soul's home, which is naturally made of beliefs that are an expression of your soul qualities and your soul values, and not so concerned with circumstances or the world as being what should be or what makes me happy or what is good or right, and instead deriving a sense of safety and sovereignty and well-being from, again, this soul home that is again represented as the solar plexus. So as we transition into 2025, there's this period between now and really the late spring, mid-late spring, where life's going to be slower. The year's not going to start like out the gate like a rocket. It's starting nice and easy, nice and slow. So there's lots of time for us to do a little bit of that assessment, that taking stock in the 12 steps they call taking an inventory. It's a time where we can lovingly be with ourselves, taking stock of what is my inner home, my inner nest made of, what are the beliefs there, and forgiving ourselves for any beliefs that we think are like the cigarette butts and plastic wrappers that are actually not healthy, not good for us. Um, and and then even calling on divine assistance in this regard, calling on whatever that is for you, divine assistance, even if it's your own soul that you call on to support, guide this process, to separate out what is an expression of you as a belief, what beliefs are an expression of you, and what can be released, what needs to be let go now. So that you wake up every day feeling like your home is here. Your home is here, not up here in the reactive, um, echo chamber that the mind can become when it is made of beliefs that could be forged in trauma, or at least beliefs that aren't true, really true for you about yourself or the world. So again, the first quarter of this year and a little bit beyond is about this reevaluation of our inner home. And again, really asking the divine helpers to do it with you or even for you. I mean, there's a divine intelligence that knows exactly what your inner home ought to be made of. And that divine intelligence is in all of us. It is us. And so we can simply pray to it to guide, to make it so. It can sound like a lot of work to, make an inventory of all the beliefs and so on. So it's not, what I'm getting here is it's not so important to personally, mentally comb through every single belief that we are operating with. We don't need to give ourselves and our sort of inner taskmaster parts that kind of homework. We can give it to the much wiser, more intelligent, faster acting forces. So that's the first quarter of 2025. After that, again, there are going to be forces or human groups that will be very reactive to this energy and very resistant and not wanting to cooperate with this upgrade. And that is okay. That is a part of the way it is meant to work. And so if you see greater chaos, great change and shift happening in 2025, and I think we all will, what I'm getting here, it is a part of our growth. It's a part of our journey. And when we live down here, it's much, much easier to move with and through these rites, these milestones. We are being set up for a new kind of world. What I'm getting here is the next 5 years, we're going to be shifting to a new kind of human life. And living from solar plexus is a big, 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 big part of that shift. So they don't want to say much more about 2025. The one thing they have shared with me as I've been exploring and asking questions about the year ahead is that forecasts are useful to a point, but what's most useful is to really attend to the step right in front of you, because that's the one you really see. And that's the only one you really can take action with. Seeing deep into the future is sometimes like a chew toy for the mind's anxiety. And we're not here to give the mind's anxiety more to chew on. We're here to respond to the soul's call, to the, the song of our deeper self. And that deeper self doesn't need to, yeah, get worried about what great changes are in store. It can be useful, when you know a hurricane's coming to like take care of things. And they're not suggesting that 2025 is a year of cataclysms and darkness. I literally asked them that, and they said no. So, and they're confirming that here. But there is, like they said, the marching troops of great change are sweeping. So that calls on us to usher in our deeper self into embodiment, and that of course happens with a lot of growing up. So that's the forecast for 2025. I am with you all in this big bold ride, and if you want any support for yourself and your own individual journey, let's talk. Let's open your records. I'm here for you. All right, everybody. Be well. Bye-bye.